Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Weighing In, brought to you by USA Wrestling, the national governing body for wrestling in the United States, and by Nike Wrestling. Go to athleteps.com for all of your Nike and USA Wrestling branded gear. The squad is back. Marco, welcome back, sir.
Hey, guys. I missed you last week, so
we
fun
tried
to get back into it.
We tried to carry the heavy water without you.
Yeah.
Did we get at least a 4-star review?
I thought it was pretty good. I was kind of thinking, I need to work a little more often. Those guys do a pretty good job.
I don't know about that.
I know Grant took you out into the deep waters a little bit there on a few topics when toothpaste was coming out of the tube, and I was kind of worried that you wouldn't make it through it, but you did a nice job.
You guys do most of the heavy lifting. I'm just lucky that I was doing this first, that they put my name on it. That's about it. I'm smart enough to recruit good talent. When I went to the golf outing and one of the guys had a hole-in-one, I'm like, I'm just a good recruiter of talent. Coach them up and get them out of the way. So anyway, a few things right off the top here. I guess the first thing is we might as well just start with a sad subject. Mike Krause passed away. One of the greatest kid coaches in America, super high energy guy. I had a lot of private conversations with coaches this week that talked about the impact he had on kids, how enthusiastic he was in clinics. And I think one of the things that we kind of forget about with what we're doing is how much all of us, you, GT, you, Mark, myself, and everybody watching, listening, people we talk to, how much we just genuinely love the sport of wrestling. Like, we really love wrestling, whether it's folk style, freestyle, Greco, whether it's Americans or foreign, we just love wrestling, and we all love it, I'm sure, for some different ways, but what it did for us in our lives. And I know everybody's got a story on what that did. And Krause was one of those guys that helped pass along his love of wrestling to other people. And that's one of the greatest gifts you can give is pass along your passion and make other people passionate about it. And obviously working with youth, if they're having a bad day, a bad week, if you can inspire or uplift those kids, you've really done a good service. So, RIP to Mike Krause. He'll be missed. And you had a big impact on a lot of people. So no real easy segue here. But, Mark, let's get into your picks at 133 because you weren't on last week. So real quickly, GT picked Fix, Vito, Nagao, Latona, Bird, Arini, Buzakis, Cannon. I went Vito, Fix, Nagao, Latona, Buzakis, Bird, Arini, Klebo. Mark, I'll read yours off and then, give us your explanations. Vito, Fix, Nagao, Bird, Buzakis, Latona, Arini, Cannon. So, some of it makes a lot of sense. Actually, no, it doesn't make sense to me, but just give us some of your logic on what you were thinking at some of these with these guys.
Well, I mean, I got a couple guys that probably could have went up a little bit, but I just have this is more of just a gut feeling. I think Buzakis, I think I got him at 5. I just think Bird's done it before. I think he's really, really good. I think this could be a really good year for him. So, I mean, I kind of like the order I had him in. I think, to be honest with you, I like a lot of the young kids this year to do really well. And I think Buzakis could go higher than 5th. I'm just not real sure how good he is underneath, but I think he could be top 4 at least. So we'll see what happens.
GT and I talked on the air that it felt to us like there's a tier 1, which is Vito, Fix, Vito. I mean, I think you have to say Vito, Fix after the Nationals last year, but those two guys. And I don't know that GT felt the same way about this, but to me, it feels like Nagao sort of on his own tier 2. If you were breaking this down into tiers, Mark, because a lot of those are like you said, like, hey, I see these 5 guys at 3 through 7 or whatever your case may be. Kind of what are your levels or tiers at this way?
Yeah, I think Vito and Dayton are definitely on their own little island out there. And I don't think it's really that close of somebody getting on that island, especially in the gal right now. I think he's got some work to do yet because Dayton had no troubles with him at the Nationals. I mean, it wasn't close. He just pretty much threw him around the mat. So, and he couldn't ride him. Dayton was out right away, just tossed him off his back. And so that kind of surprised me right there. And obviously, Vito's the man. Nagao, I'm not sure I'd put him by himself yet, David. I think there's a couple kids in there that are going to give him problems. Remember last year, Mendez was beating him pretty good and then got.
You just shouldn't have picked down. If he hadn't picked down, he would have won.
Yeah, he would have won handily because I think he had 3 or 4 takedowns in the first 2 periods alone or something like that.
And Nagao's top game, 2 things change. 1, everybody's seen it. And 2, at that 3-point takedown now, like if you get 1 takedown and you kick him loose and you kick him loose in another period and you pick neutral, you win versus tie. So,
yeah. So I think there's probably 3 kids besides Nagao in that tier 2.
Okay.
So I think Bird's there. I think Luzakis is there. Orini had a really good national tournament, but had some kind of funny losses earlier in the year.
He had a really good ACC tournament. He had a good nationals, but he was seeded 5 and placed 8.
Yeah.
But he beat Latona and Philippi, right? GT, maybe wrong order, but those are the 2 guys he beat at the ACC. And I think he cement jobbed Philippi like from standing position on like the edge of the mat, which was a huge win for him. So, so GT, you're around a lot of these senior level athletes, and you see the psychology of it a lot. How much does Vito's summer, which is, I mean, I guess we can start with the semifinals of nationals, the finals of nationals, the U.S. Open, like what he did to DeSanto, then winning the Worlds, and this is my opinion, kind of got hosed in the finals. Like that match really shouldn't have been as close as it was in the finals of the World. At least a couple of calls that could have gone either way, and they all went against him. He's now in the Olympic trials semifinals, which completely changes his training schedule for the better, in that like he doesn't have to go qualify, all these other things. Can you see him jumping another level? Is it a confidence thing, or am I just blowing this out of proportion?
I think Vito did a really good interview after I think he won his world title, and was, talked about kind of how he's like seeing things at a new level, seeing things through a new perspective, making, basically like wanting to be a world champion. Like that was the main focus of his thing. But I think also you see this in folk style and in freestyle, like where you can jump levels like pretty quickly, like where you all of a sudden it's like, hey, this guy's a problem now, and it's going to be a problem for a long time because he's figured it out. And I really think that Vito, in watching his progression as kind of like how he's always been, like I definitely feel like his game is at another level right now. Like you saw it on display at the NCAA wrestling tournament, like basically dismantling the entire field, like in a way that a lot of us kind of wrestling nerds, like even we were surprised at like how dominant that run was. Not just winning, but like in dominant fashion. And then also going on to the world championships. Now, be it that he was at 61 kilos, which is a proper weight for him, but he beat up everybody there. Like yes. It wasn't even close. And like, to your point, like the score in the finals, like Vito dominated that finals match.
Right.
So, but you can see that kind of maybe even resonate to like give that guy a little bit more confidence in his ability to just be like a wrestler. So I mean, I think that he's jumped levels. I think he's going to be there for a long time. And once again, going into the freestyle scene, I think he's going to be somebody that is going to be marked on everybody's calendar for all of those tournaments if you're going to be at 57 or 61.
Yeah. And because he won the world, like he doesn't have to wrestle in the U.S. Open in December. There's a bunch of things that clear schedule. I could see him having sort of a spot schedule this year, like a lot of these guys do, where he's maybe not wrestling every single meet. And we were talking the other day off the air about just how there's less matches scheduled now. That a lot of these teams have one, maybe two tournaments, and then the rest are all dual. So the number of matches they have on the schedule is significantly less. So the other thing is Austin Gomez went into the portal. Now, he went portal before he got his redshirt year approved, his medical redshirt year, but I'm sure they know whether that's going to happen or not. He's at the Michigan RTC, Cliff Keen RTC. The most logical place would be he would jump in with Michigan. They have a hole at 49, and that team becomes even better. And I think, Mark, you said five athletes that have All-American at previous schools would be on Michigan's team, not returning All-Americans because they didn't all AA in 2023, but at some point 5 if he were to join the team, correct?
Just this year.
The 3 Northwestern kids, Griffith and him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's scary.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Sean's doing a really good job over there. I mean, this guy must be a magic man. So these guys just keep popping up there. So, I mean, he does his homework. He's using what tools are out there to his advantage, and you can't blame him for that. So,
well, I think their RTCs, the coaching staff they have at that RTC is super attractive, right? And they've got some senior level athletes there to work out with, and they've embraced the athletes that have foreign citizenship qualifying and wrestling at the World Championships and Olympics while training here in the United States. So, and that's a different feel. It's a different style of wrestling, which, is get as many good looks as you can. It generally helps you. So, I mean, I think they've embraced all of that. So, all right, let's get to 141. And next week, my guy at Fantasy Grade said he'll have the combined rankings, so we'll start using their site. This week, I think we'll use Flow for 41 and Intermat for 49 because Intermat, when they last did their rankings, had Alirez in there. And GT, 100%, Alirez has declared he's going to take an Olympic red shirt, correct?
Yep.
So when we get back to talking about Olympic qualifiers and things like that, he's a guy that jumps right in the mix. That's kind of his natural weight, 141, and 65 is 143. So, pretty easy weight allowance or adjustment for him. He's near the OTC. So there'll be some interesting things he can do. So here are, I guess I will share this screen here. Here are the rankings on Flow. Real Woods, Bo Bartlett, Lachlan McNeil, Brock Hardy, Jesse Mendez, Clay Carlson, CJ Composto, Cole Matthews, Ryan Jack, Vince Cornella, Malik Hines, Moses Schwartz, Josh Edmond, Frankie Tal-Shahar, Cale Happel, and on down the list. Let us first give our flowers to Grant Turner, who correctly predicted Lachlan McNeil was going to do big things at the NCAAs, both in writing and verbally to me at the fantasy contest. And GT, a lot of that was, I think, how well he had done for Canada, correct? Like wrestling internationally, or let me not say that. Why did you feel like he was going to do so well?
Well, every once in a while, you got to pick somebody that kind of comes out of the woodwork. And I just had watched him wrestle, and he's super slick guy. And once again, at the time, North Carolina would get him into the bracket. They're in the ACC. They did a really good job of coaching him up. But I'm this dude's going to be a problem for some people. He just technically poses what I felt was some really cool folk style problems for folks. And, I have a lot of faith in Tony and what his ability to work with those guys. And, watching him wrestle for Canada, he kind of walked through a lot of those matches up there. Not that there's not a ton of talent up in Canada, but he looks dominant when he goes up there. So just felt like a guy that I could trust, and somebody that kind of from the outside looking in that not many people would maybe say is like their guy, especially when that weight class was stacked with, returning finalists and new freshmen and, all these other guys that are like super solidified within the U.S. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take an outside shot at my boy and see how it works.
That was a bullseye. Like, absolutely. And if you play any of these fantasy contests or even fantasy drafts, like, you've got to get somebody off the board that hits for you, because there's always going to be these guys at the top. Like, I think in fantasy football, like how many of the first round draft picks this year are already injured. And, the same thing may happen in wrestling where they're not injured because it's a one tournament versus a whole season, but that don't necessarily perform up to their seed or ranking. So you got to get a couple dark horses. All right. So obviously you guys both know what we're doing here. We're picking top 8. Let's kind of lay this out though. So Woods was returning runner-up. Bartlett, All-American. McNeil, All-American. Hardy, All-American. Mendez, All-American to 33. And he was just second at the U20s at 65 kgs, correct, GT?
Yeah.
So that's 143. And he was a big 133 pounder. They moved Bouzakis in at 33, as Mark touched on. Mendez goes up to 41. Just a couple other things. Josh Edmond redshirted last year behind Alan Hart. He pops in. So, I mean, there's a couple things here. Jesse Vasquez was injured. He's back. Sammy Alvarez will be the guy at 141 for Oklahoma State after transferring from Rutgers. Carter Young had off-season surgery, and I saw him down at Stillwater, and he's big. He'll either redshirt this year or go 49. And I don't even know why this is hitting me, but there it is, Zach Redding. Okay, because Swiderski was at 49 last year for Iowa State, and he's moving up, and then the whole Pinheiro thing may or may not be a thing. So, some of these things are fluid, but this is what we're looking at right now. So, Mark, I will give you the floor. Who are your picks? You can either tell me about, how about this? Rather than go straight to picks, like I'll go this. I think Real Woods is like the best guy in the weight on top, especially. You and I had talked off air during the season how there were some matches where he was just winning just because of his top game. Like he'd lose the only takedown in the match and still win the match. And that'll be a harder formula to follow with the 3-point takedown. But he's wrestled really well against like Bartlett and some of these other guys. Like what are your thoughts on just in general?
This is one weight that you don't see a lot of tiers. I think there's quite a few kids that could be All-Americans in this weight. I'm not saying there's a lot that are going to be able to win it, but I think there's probably 3 guys just by looking at it that I would say have a real legit chance of winning a national title here. So maybe 4. I just don't know about Mendez yet. It's a big difference, but he's definitely talented enough. And, to Grant's point, McNeil looked really good last year at the national tournament, and he's pretty talented. Now, do I think he's going to beat a Real Woods? Probably not. I think Real is kind of separated himself a little bit at this weight, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was in the finals. So, and that's what you're kind of looking at. So, because anything can happen in the finals of the national tournament, David. That's one thing I have learned.
Well, to be fair, Real Woods, he lost fair and square in the finals, but he basically lost on one move.
Yep.
He got feet to back on the edge, and he won the majority of the scrambles before that.
Yeah. So, I guess I'm going to put it in order. I'm going to go Real Woods number 1.
Hold on. Let me get over here. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I'm going to go Brock Hardy, too. I think people forget how good a year Brock had. He got hurt at Nationals and wasn't even sure if he was going to be able to finish. I think he had hurt in his shoulder or his elbow or something, but he was not the same Brock Hardy. And he had beaten Barnett at the Big 12s or Big 10s. So he's the real deal, and I really like him. He made the world team at 23. U23, so he'll be wrestling here in a week or so. So I think he's the second best kid at the weight.
Now-
I'm going to go with Jesse Mendez 3, Bartlett 4, McNeil 5, Cole Matthews 6, Cornella 7, and Ryan Jack 8.
All right, you spoke faster than I can type. Mendez 3, Bartlett 4, McNeil 5. Go ahead.
I got Mendez was 3. Yeah, McNeil was 5.
Yep.
Then I got Matthews is 6.
Okay.
Cornella 7, and Ryan Jack 8.
Gotta add the
And the
squares.
one I really want to put in there that I didn't is I think Mitch Moore has a good shot at being an All-American. He's going down back to his normal weight at 141. I think he transferred from Oklahoma out to Rutgers. I think he's legit at 41.
He doesn't do a lot.
No, but he's a beast. That guy he's a pinner from the past. He gets in some positions and he's strong as an ox. So he's going to get some people a hard time.
All right, GT.
All right, I'm gonna go Real Woods champ.
Okay.
Bo Bartlett to make finals. Brock Hardy 3, Lackland 4, Cole Matthews 5, Carlson 6, Mendez 7, and Ryan Jack 8.
All right. Once again, you guys spoke faster than I can type. So let me fill in what I got here. Hold on. I got most of them. All right. I got Woods 1, Bartlett 2, Hardy 3. Then I typed in Carlson 6, Mendez 7, Jack 8. You had Lackland 4, correct?
Yep, Lackland 4 and Cole Matthews 5.
Okay. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit over here. I'm looking at Russell's stat, and I started on Real Woods, who was 20-1, and then now I'm looking at Brock Hardy, who was 30-8. But a bunch of those losses were nationals, which were injury losses. He lost to Woods. His weird loss was when he lost to Yasagiri from Arizona State. We were actually watching that match, I think, in the Iowa Sports Bar while we were doing the podcast, if I remember correctly. That was the Oklahoma State dual weekend up there at Iowa. He lost to Real Woods 6-4 in the duel, but he had a ton of matches. He lost to Ryan Jack 9-7. Am I crazy that Bartlett could win this weight class, guys? Is that nuts, or am I like drinking the Kool-Aid too much? He lost to O'Leary 6-2. He lost to Hardy 7-3. He lost to Woods 4-1. He beat Cole Matthews in tiebreaker. He beat McNeil 4-1. He beat McNeil 4-1 twice, once at Nationals, once in their duel. And I mean, no other like top. He beat D'Amelio 4-2. Am I? Obviously, you guys didn't pick him, but how crazy is that to think that he could win the bracket?
Grant, go ahead.
Well, I mean, Bo Bartlett's he's a dog. I mean, like he'll keep everything close. He's a really, really talented wrestler. You got to also remember where he wrestles at, which apparently they do really good things there with really good athletes, and they continue to have a lot of success. So another aspect of what goes on at Penn State is like those guys, for the most part, don't necessarily deteriorate. You don't really see a lot of guys that are like super talented, like fall off the edge and like all of a sudden just become worse than they were. Like if anything, they kind of like either maintain or get better, especially if they've already had success at the NCAA tournament. But I mean, I think Real Woods, I mean, talk about like just one circumstance, or else we'd be talking about maybe him, repeating as a champ.
Yes.
I mean, Alira's had a historic run too. Like he was dominant and looked good. But once again, it's just, in the finals, it's the finals, right? It was a tough match. I think that whatever it was, the scoring opportunity was like reviewed, I think like for 28 minutes.
It was really, really a long review. Yes.
So once again, I think not to stray away from the conversation, but like I definitely think Bartlett is definitely in the mix in order to be a national champion next year. But I mean, to Mark's point, I think, Woods is a very, very, very talented guy, and he's going to have to be unseated because he was, he's going to come in ranked number 1, and he's probably going to run the table.
Yeah, I see your point. Marco, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to see a couple things different from Bo this year. He had a lot of close matches last year.
Yes.
And losing 4-1 to Woods, where he gave up a takedown and got ridden like, I don't know even what I'm going to say about that. Brock Hardy did the same thing to him. I think Brock had 2 takedowns and rode him really hard. He does have a problem underneath. I don't think he has solved that yet. Penn State hasn't solved that yet with him, but he's going to be right there to make the finals. And like Grant said, anything can happen in the finals. We've seen it, but I think Brock Hardy's better. I think Brock Hardy's the second best kid at this weight. May by the end of the year be the best kid at the weight. I think he has made leaps and bounds at Nebraska, and he looked really good at the U23 Open to make the team. Beat some really good guys. It wasn't that close. So Bo's got a little bit of proving to me before I put him a shot at winning it. Let's put it that way. I think Hardy has a better shot at winning it than Bo does.
Yeah, it's both fair points. The counterpoint for me is Bo Bartlett basically had Nick Lee beat at the U.S. Open, and they decided after the match was over that the score was wrong. And he's obviously training with those guys that were going to world championships and things like that. So here are my picks for 41. I've got I got Bartlett 1, Woods 2, McNeil 3, Hardy 4, Mendez 5, Ryan Jack 6, Cornelis 7, Carlson 8. The guy that I don't have in that you guys have is Matthews. At least one spot. I'm trying to look at who. Maybe that was the difference. Like one of you guys had Matthews and Carlson, and I only, so that kind of thing. So anyway, all right, we'll go to 49. Let me pull this up. We'll share. Our good friend Earl Smith over here. So another interesting weight. Rich Lovett, Shane Van Ness, Kyle Parko, Caleb Henson, Brock Moore, Dylan D'Amelio, Graham Rooks, Jackson Arrington, Chance Lamer, Victor V, Jaden Abbas, Kellen March, Ethan Miller, Corbin Munson, Casey Swiderski up a weight, Willie McDougall back off a red shirt. I will say this. At the NCAAs last year, and I know this young man, Ethan Miller was beating Shane Van Ness either 8 or 9-1 going into the third period and got ran down. So, he's a kid that his high end is pretty high. So, Marco, just initial thoughts on the weight.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a weight, and you might as well throw Gomez in there. Don't forget, if he comes back and wrestles, he'll be at this weight. So he's actually going to be, I'd probably ranking wise, you may put him right behind probably Brock Mahler to start the year out. That's where I would put him. So, I think it's going to be a good weight. I think this is a weight that is wide open. I think there's probably 3, 4, 5 kids that can make the finals easily. It's going to be a hard one to say who the champ's going to be right off the top of my head.
Couple of things here. Sammy Sasso would have been the preseason number 1 at 49 before, obviously, the shooting. There was other, obviously, rumors he was going to go up to 57. Michael Blockus is back and was an All-American at 49. He's, I think, up at 57. Austin Gomez made the round of 16 last year, Mark. So I think the way we would have ranked him, he would have been ranked behind the 3 round of 12ers, which is Arrington, Rooks, and Lamer. Lamer was at Michigan and now is at Cal Poly. So it would have been Gomez would have came in at our rankings. Van Ness 1, Parco 2, Henson 3, Mahler 4, Arrington 5, Rooks 6, Lamer 7, Gomez 8. So he's a guy that just based on last year's results would be right in there. Pinheiro would have been 10, and he's out for now. So GT, overall thoughts on 49?
I think this one could be one of the weight classes where you just have a lot of different, like, I think all these guys are going to beat each other up the entire year. I think this one's going to we're going to be talking about rankings at 49 the entire year. So this one, this one could be pandemonium.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you see a guy here and you go, this guy's going to run the table, right?
Not really. I think that there's a lot of guys in here, like even let's say like Jaden Abbas and Swiderski. Like I don't even know what's going to happen with Pinheiro Johnson, but you throw him into the mix a little bit. Austin Gomez, second semester. Graham Rooks had a really good tournament last year. Lamer really good. There's Ethan Miller, you guys talked about a little bit. Like, there's just a lot of different ways that you could slice up this tournament. I think it's really going to come down to like seeding at the national tournament to determine who really has like a more bona fide run.
Right.
So, yeah, this one's going to be interesting.
And D'Amelio is up a weight. Okay, so Buzakis comes at 33, Mendez goes 33-41, D'Amelio goes 41-49. So, again, a guy that had a really good national tournament last year, took 8th, and certainly wasn't seated in the top 8 or ranked in the top 8 or seated in the top 8 and placed. So he earns his slot where he is in the rankings. I think they did what we would have done, Mark, which is you rank him right behind the All-Americans that are coming back at 49, and they certainly gave Lovett the benefit of the doubt as the runner-up, redshirted last year, but was runner-up to Yanni, which is, you and I have talked about this for years. There's certain guys, if you lose to them, it doesn't even count because everybody loses to them. Like when Nolf and Bo Nickel and those guys are wrestling and Zane, like, well, okay. I mean, like, you could still be number 2 pretty easily. So, Marco, do you want to go first on this?
I can if you want me to.
That'd be great. And if you just wouldn't go super fast, so we can.
I'm going to take, wow, who's going to win this weight?
By the way, you said this off the air. I'll buy you a little time to think about it. Nebraska is sneaky good as a team. No one's really talking about them, but you mentioned it and you're right. They got some dudes. I mean, as we're going through this, we've already hit Hardy. We've already hit Lovett. They got Caleb Smith transferred in at 25. And they got some more dudes, especially when you go up to the upper weights.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Ridge to win this weight. I just think his experience being in the finals before is going to be immense for him here.
Okay.
I'm going to go Gomez second.
We are cooking with gas. Go ahead.
He's dangerous. And you got to remember, David, last year he was hurt.
Yes,
he got hurt in the Big Tens. Nobody even thought he was going to be able to wrestle. He went out there on one leg and still did about every move you could possibly think of. He just didn't have it. But earlier in the year, he was really, really good. I'm going to go Caleb Henson 3. I think he's coming on as a true freshman. Last year, he was phenomenal. But I like where he's at. I'm going to go Parco 4. I am going to go Pinheiro Johnson 5. I think he'll be in their team. I think this gambling thing is going to be ratified here in the next week. And he didn't bet on himself. He didn't bet on wrestling. He's going to get back. He's going to have a slap on the wrist. He's going to have to go to a class. And it doesn't matter how much you gamble anymore. The new rules is they didn't put a money limit on it. So good for him. So I got him at 5. I'm going to take Brock Mahler at 6. And I need you to scroll up a little few, David, because I got a 7.
No problem.
I got a 7 and 8 that aren't in here yet.
That help you?
Yeah.
You can look down further if you want.
No, I'm good. I'm going to go Victor V7.
Okay.
I think he sneaks in there. And I'm going to go. Well, this is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with Graham Rooks. Put him at 8. He's been right on that cusp of being an All-American, and he's had some good national tournaments. So I'm going to go with him.
Okay. GT.
All right, here we go. By the way, this will change next week. It'll change in 2 hours.
It's fluid, like Stephen A. Smith says. It's
Right.
fluid.
All right, so I'm going to have Ridge Lovett winning the national title.
Okay.
I'm going to have Caleb Henson making the finals for Virginia Tech.
Okay.
I'm going to have Kyle Parko getting 3rd.
Okay.
I'm going to have Van Ness getting 4th.
Okay.
I'm going to take Mahler to get 5th.
Okay.
I'm going to take Austin Gomez to get 6th.
Okay.
I'm going to say Abbas to get 7th.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Pinheiro Johnson to get 8th.
Okay. So I got all those. Mark, did you miss Van Ness, or did you think he isn't going to place?
I didn't have him ranked.
Huh?
I didn't put him in there.
No. You have Lovett, Gomez, Henson, Parko, Pinheiro, Mahler, Voinovich, Rooks. So I feel like there's an omission there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Van Ness has to be in there, and I'm going to put him in it. Put him at number 4 and move everybody down one, David.
I'm your good friend.
Yeah, I know. Or you could have left him off, and I would have taken a shot that he didn't have very good nationals, and it is what it is.
All right. So you have Van Ness, and then Parko, Pinheiro, Mahler, Voinovich are your 5 through 8.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be a little contrarian again. I'm going to take Caleb Henson to win this weight. I think what both you guys said, true freshman, as GT would say, and he's younger, so he can say it way cooler. That kid is a dog. And I fairly close impression, GT. Not as cool as you, but in the vicinity. But he's a real dog, man. He's a goer, and he loves it there. And sometimes the younger guys have more improvement in them. Some of these other guys that have maybe stagnated a little bit. So I'm going to take Van Ness to make the finals. I feel like Penn State's going to have an all-time year. I really do. I feel like they might set the team record. I think it's going to be insane. I like Lovett for 3rd. I like Parko for 4th. I'm going to take Mahler at 5th. And Brock Mahler's very quietly had an awesome career. I think he'll end up being a 4-time All-American, made the semis a couple times. So he's really done well for himself. I'm struggling here with the last couple. Like, you guys didn't pick D'Amelio, and I feel like he's going to sneak in here. I mean, I think once you All-American, there's a lot of juice to that. I'll go Gomez 6th. Now I'm going to go Gomez 7th. I'm going to go Pinheiro 6th, and I'm going to go D'Amelio 8th. So I need to type in D'Amelio. The rest of these will cut. Good. All right. I think we actually have time to get to 157, which is probably good because when the U23s come up, that'll be a whole week. We're probably not talking about a lot of college wrestling. So let me go to 157. And then pull up here. So the returners at 157 are Levi, these guys respectively took 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th last year. Haynes, Humphreys, Franek, Ed Scott, Peyton Robb, Andonian, Willawan. All 4 round of 12ers are back. Cardenas, Saldati, Swenson, Vinny Z. 3 of the 16s are back. Chumbley, Fraser, Patty Gallagher. And then some fairly big names in the round of 24, like a Kendall Coleman, Seabricht, although it looks like he won't start for Iowa this year, Derek Kilcher. And then Ja'Cory Teamer comes off injury/medical redshirt. So one of the things I will say, and I believe I speak for all of us here at Weighing In, we are going to miss Bryce Andonian wrestling Austin Gomez. Those are matches that we like to see. So, that was a year ago, but, would have been, or a couple years ago, but that was a match. Like Andonian had a barn burner with Haynes. So let me stop sharing and then go over to this one so you guys can see it. So this is a way, and the other thing that's sort of up in the air here, right, is does Haynes wrestle? Does Haynes redshirt? Does Haynes go 65? Does Mitchell Messenbrink wrestle here? Does he redshirt? Does he go 65? Does Facundo redshirt, or does he go 65? And, they're probably going to have to wrestle somebody at 57 that they like. It's not going to be Facundo, so it's either going to be Haynes or Messenbrink. Messenbrink wrestled 74 kilos. So I don't know that he's cutting a ton of weight. I think that's obviously, a critical part of the decision. It's not like Vito where we know he's a full-size 133 pounder, so 125 is going to be hard for him. And obviously Messenbrink's young too. He's basically a sophomore in college, redshirted last year. So GT, you can go first here. What do you think about the weight?
Well, I think this weight is okay. I really, really, really like a few of the incoming kids that are towards the bottom of the rankings. So I think that there's going to be, I have a lot of faith in one of these kids that wrestles for Cornell. I'm going to take, Shapiro is, I think, going to be an All-American for sure. That would be like one of the things that, like, as you kind of want to like have a outside shot looking in kind of wild pick.
Yes.
I think also Patty Gallagher is up at a weight that like he's not cutting a ton. And that guy was a monster in high school. I think that just because of where he fell in the lineup, like not being able to, basically be at the right weight, you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Now, I think also when it comes to the top there, we got a little bit of like unknowns, right? So like Blockus being up a weight class, don't know what he's going to really look like. He could be a monster at that weight. I just saw on Twitter the other day a picture of Andonian. He's going to be getting visited by USADA tomorrow.
Dude, how big is he?
He looks ginormous. Now, once again, it could be all lighting and, he could have just done like a whole bunch of curls and just been like, oh, this is just me casually flexing in the wrestling room. But he looks ginormous. Like, looks really good, right? Levi Haynes had an incredible run, didn't really know if they were going to do it, pulled the red shirt, basically goes all the way to the national finals and then gets beat by, just a journeyman AOC, two-time champ. What a great run there. I think that there's other aspects of this weight class that is just like Ja'Cory Teamer, not in the bracket last year, also a monster. Peyton Robb, hopefully he's, healthy and, recovered and, all of the things that basically occurred with him, like the scary stuff, right? So, and then of course, like Jared Franek, new home, new training regiment, new everything, like kind of been a guy in the top 8 for almost his entire collegiate career, like on that top 12 type situation. Now he's wrestling with, Tom and Terry. Like, does he like all of a sudden become just an unstoppable force? Now he's going to wrestle the Big 10 schedule rather than the Big 12 schedule. So there's just so much to this, but I will say that probably the the one thing that intrigues me about this weight class probably the most is the Big Ten and how that's all going to play out with all of the different duels. Because there's a lot of Big Ten guys that are in this weight class that are going to shake up how the seeding will be then at nationals, because the other ones are all then spread out. You got a couple of like Big 12s. You got, a couple of these ones that are down in the ACC. You got one Pac-12. So like you got like all of these things that are going to like really determine how the national tournament gets set up for seeding and throughout the whole year on like what rankings look like. So I think that's going to be the thing that really, causes a lot of headaches for a lot of people.
Well, you're right. I was doing a head count when you point that out. 8 of the top 15 are in the Big Ten, 2 ACC, and then multiple Big 12 with Swenson, Kraser, and Vinny Zurban. Vinny Zurban's a kid from around here that I actually was blessed to coach, and I looked up Levi Haynes' wrestle stat. Zurban actually beat him back at the Binghamton tournament back in November, and then Haynes didn't lose again until the national finals. And like you said, ripped through it. Mark, you had talked to me, and GT, we all talked off air about how good Meyer Shapiro is. He wrestled, just so people understand, he wrestled at 70 kilograms, which is 154. He and Messenbrink have like unbelievable offensive output levels, like how many shots they take, things like that. So, and he's a tweener, right? Like, I don't know if he's going to go 49 or 57. They got him ranked at 57. Usually, like when we do the rankings, we'd call the schools and ask them. So I'm sure these guys got it right. So let's start with that first point. Do you think he's a guy that's going to have a major impact, minor impact, or just be a freshman?
Well, I picked earlier this year that 3 freshmen would win nationals, and obviously he's one of the ones I thought would. Yeah, I think he's just on a different level. I think he's got all the tools to win this weight, David. He can wrestle from every position. He's really good on his feet. And he finishes things so well. He's like, I don't know. I don't even know who he's like. He's just, for his age, he's phenomenal. And when I do pick, he will be my number one guy that I think wins the national title at this weight.
And that's crazy because this has 7 returning All-Americans from last year plus teamer.
Yeah.
So this not crazy like that's a crazy pick, just like this weight's full of returning All-Americans.
There's a good chance you could have 2 true freshmen in the finals of the national tournament this weight if Messenbrink goes down and they put him in.
He's not a true freshman.
Okay, redshirt freshman, yeah.
I'm not trying to get – he's a freshman, but not a true freshman.
Yeah.
So, and I think when you watch, GT was over there, but when you watch those worlds, you watch those guys go back to back like that, you're like, man, how much fun was sparring and how great of a live match would this be? So I don't even remember who went first last time. Who's going to go first on picking this weight class here?
I'll go first and I'll make your guys' head spin.
Okay, hold on. I'm ready for it. Let me just get it in here. All right, go ahead, GT.
All right, Ja'Cory Teamer, national champion.
Go ahead. I was on the same page, so that's why I'm laughing.
It's going to get worse as time goes on. Here we go. Shapiro, runner-up. Jared Franick, 3rd. Levi Haynes, 4th. Andonian, 5th. Peyton Robbs, 6th. Cody Chittum, 7th.
We forgot about him in this conversation. Go ahead, yeah.
And Daniel Cardenas, 8th.
So let me ask you guys a question. First of all, I love these picks. Like, love them. Why do you think they have Kraser ranked instead of Chittum?
Because Kraser's if you look at Intermat, they have Chittum ranked.
Okay.
But I think, Kraser was the guy last year. A lot of the ranking people put those guys in the rankings as hey, this was the guy last year, and this is where he would be if whatever.
Yep, you're right. They got Chittum at 17th. So, I mean, there's some good kids that are in this weight class that really are going to have a hard time getting on the podium. So, I mean, what we have here is like Ed Scott, not All-Americaning, Will Luan, not All-Americaning, and Michael Blockus, not All-Americaning in your picks, which I'm not saying are right or wrong. I'm just saying those are facts. So
yeah, I think this is a weight class, and once again, I think I'll leave it to Mark to kind of do his thing here, but like there's too many All-Americans and not enough spots.
Yes.
So you're going to see somebody go home without being on the podium again. And I think that this weight class, probably more than a lot of other ones, has a lot of like, some older guys.
Yeah.
So like the battle between, youth and, age, there's going to be some of these guys that'll pop up through there, as we've seen at the NCAA tournament, and a huge momentum swish of like young kids being able to wrestle right away.
And these seniors, a lot of them are sixth-year seniors because of that free COVID year, and these juniors, a lot of them are fifth-year juniors for the same reason. So and a lot of these guys, like, there's been multiple statements that, hey, college wrestling is really hard, and that many years ain't great on your body. So, all right, Mark, I am ready for you. I feel like I know who you're picking to take first, but go ahead.
You probably do.
Okay.
I'm taking Shapiro to win it.
Are you going an all freshman final? That's what I need to know.
Yes, I am, David. So go ahead and put him down. Iowa State second.
Okay.
Here's a kicker for you. Messenbrink third.
Okay.
These guys just don't know what they're running into. I'm going to say Franix fourth.
Okay.
I'm going to go Bryce Andoni in fifth.
Okay.
Corey Teamer sixth.
Okay.
I'm going to go with, I don't want to leave anybody out, Peyton Robb, seventh.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with Blockus, eighth. Michael Blockus.
Got it. So you've got, well, I mean, Levi Haynes is sort of your mess and brink, but you still have a couple, like you have Will Luan not placing, and you have Ed Scott not placing of the returning All-Americans. So, and like GT said very succinctly and accurately, there's more people than there are seats at the table.
Yeah, and I think these young guys, David, I really do. I think they're going to be a little bit more hungry. They want to get in 30, 40 matches. They want to wrestle. And you get into guys like, Ja'Cory Teamer, Peyton Robb, probably even Jared Frantic. They want to just, they're going to do their schedule, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to really do a lot of extra. I think it makes a difference. I really do.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think Teamer might be an exception coming off that injury. Sometimes that makes you hungrier when you have that year taken away from you, but It's certainly interesting. Okay.
I got one other thing to add on this weight class.
Yeah.
One guy that we haven't talked about at all, which I want to give him a little bit of flowers, is formerly ranked number one on the nation, Brayton Lee. Going back to Indiana.
Yes.
Once again,
I forgot about him.
Another
He's ranked 25.
I got, you know what, Dave? I got to change my pick. I got to put Brayton Lee in at 8 over Blockus.
Okay.
I do. Grant, do you want to put him in, Grant?
No, I just feel like it's. I mean, once again, there's 17 people that we could pick that are all Americans or all American caliber. It's just really going to come down to whatever. But, there's just you lose track of some guys, maybe a little bit of injury, like what we were talking about with Teamer. Like you haven't seen him in a year, you don't remember how amazing and fast and technical he is. Brayton Lee was like like he's legit and like currently ranked number 25 in the nation. Like I think that was something that, you know, we can take into a consideration as someone that's coming to a new school, new thing, gonna be part of the Big Ten again. All sorts of fun stuff.
This is a really good weight. This is a really good weight this year.
All right, I've been working on my picks, and I'm halfway through them. We have 3 different people winning this weight class. I have Messenbrink winning it over Shapiro, Teamer 3rd, Chittum 4th. I'm going to go Andonian 5th. I'm going to go Frantic 6th. This is like whatever you pick, you don't feel good about it. There's so many good guys. Good Lord. All right. I'm going to give Ed Scott his flowers. Nobody else did. So I'll put him in at 7th. And then I'm going to go Peyton Robb 8th. So one of the reasons, folks, if you're watching this, is one of the reasons we did it this year this way was when we're done with all these, we can sort them and figure out where we have our team points projected now. And then each of us can say, well, we think, like an example at Penn State, we don't have anybody ranked at 125. Then we can all say we think Robbie Howard's going to be round of whatever, or 0-2, or whatever we think, and then at least get like a sort of adjustment. But we feel like our team rankings, this is a much more accurate way than just us ballparking it, you know, because we put our names on this and put it on wax. So, well, it's good to have the boys back. I appreciate you guys watching and listening. Anything else before we sign off, boys?
I'm good. How's Grandview practices going, Grant? You guys started?
Start on Monday. So give the kids a little bit of time here the next couple of days, but as official practice starts for a lot of the Division I programs and everybody around the country, like, welcome back to wrestling season. You know, buckle up. We got a lot of wrestling in between now and July 24th of next year. We're going to have a really tight run between NCAA's, Olympic trials, the Olympics. We got a lot of stuff to discuss here in the next 6 to 9 months.
It's a good time.
David, hang on a minute. Somebody on Twitter put out a picture of Iowa's practice the other day, and it looked like it was outside in somebody's yard. They had practice outside in the grass area. Somebody commented that it was one of the nicest wrestling rooms ever built with all the lighting and stuff. So that was pretty impressive.
Iowa is building a new facility for those people that don't know, and it is impressive. And I'm probably more excited about this than you two guys, but I am booked for the Iowa Penn State meet. I got hotel, going to get my media pass, going to hopefully do our podcast again from up there. But that's, I believe, in February. So, and it looks like also I'm going to get to announce some pretty elite high school duels this year. I think I'm going to get to announce Wyoming Seminary against Faith Christian, Blair, and Del Barton. So we're really excited about that. And we'll be talking about a lot of other things. Super 32s are next weekend. If you're a high school person, there'll be tons of previews out. We'll touch on it, probably just point you guys in the right direction. U23 Worlds are right around the corner. We'll lean heavily on the best hair in the game, Grant Turner. And for those of us with not the best hair in the game, Mark and I, we appreciate you guys watching and listening. We'll see you all next week.